Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. Available statistics show that over 60% of Cameroonians are made up of people below 25 years. The same data indicates that 15 to 20% of Cameroonians fall within the age bracket 25 to 35 years. The conclusion is simple. The population of Cameroon is youthful, vibrant, resourceful, strong labor market, and with such promising population in a country richly blessed by nature, we expect an ideal situation. A situation like a good driver with a good vehicle on a good road. The result should be a smooth ride. But a great chunk of the Cameroonian youth do not seem to answer to the chorus of the ideal situation in which they are principal actors. And on Press Hour today, we ask, is the future of Cameroonian youth in their hands? I am Kilian Dandifan in Yaoundé, and this is Press Hour. You are welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Press R, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of the CRTV Production Center here at Mbala 2 in Yaoundé. The topic that we have to discuss today on the program is the future of Cameroonian youth in their hands. And we are discussing this topic on the eve of the Youth Day, which is on 11th of February. Week-long activities were launched in Edinau in the southwest region by the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, and we have had so many things that the youth have been doing. We are going to revisit some of those things, but we are also going to question whether the youth actually have their feet on the ground to take over, because it is the youth. The future is for the youth. And to talk about this topic, we have invited to this set today Professor Pascal Koum-Awa. Professor Pascal Koum-Awa is an anthropologist of the highest order. He is Inspector General of Programs in the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education. You can already understand that he's going to tell us what the government is doing to make sure that the youth are empowered, because that's part of the theme for this year. That is youth empowerment for nation building. Professor, you're welcome to Press Hour.
The pleasure is mine, Mr. Kilianda.
Are you feeling youthful today? Are you a youth?
When you sit with youth and you are working for youth and with youth, you automatically become a youth.
Yes, we are not going to have the type of situation where we define a youth in Cameroon as from 7 to 77 years.
It's a feeling. It's not that age-wise you become one.
Okay.
Yes, because there is a cut-off point for being a youth, 15 to 35 years old. Okay. So I will not pretend to be one.
Thank you so much. You take care of youth. We have you. You're going to tell us what you are doing, because you are the one to prepare. You've been preparing the ground for the youth, whether you are prepared, fertile ground for our youth to take over. Thank you once again for coming. We have Tam Yai is an entrepreneur. He's a political leader, and we are happy to have a young man like him here on this set to talk about what they expect, whether they have their future in their hands, and what they're supposed to do to have that. You're welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you, Mr. Kilian. I am happy to be on this platform. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. It's our pleasure to welcome you to Press Hour today. Robert Kedia, who is a regular guest on Press Hour. Each time we call, he comes in different capacities. We're happy to have you today. You are an educationist. You are also a political leader, a youth leader. You're welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you very much. Greetings to my co-panelists. Special greetings to all the youth throughout the national territory, especially those in Bamising in Dop, especially those in Kar in Bui, especially those in Bojongo, Mukunange, in Fakolan, and all those all over the national territory. It is a pleasure for me to be here today, giving my own views on issues that are going on in the state, that of course it is empowerment to our youth, that our youth will definitely exploit it, so that of course we will be the leaders of today and no longer of tomorrow as it was usually said.
Yes, I'm going to see how you actually tell people how you're going to do that happen. Because that is what you, the youth, you say you want to be leaders of today, not the leaders of tomorrow. Yes, that's well said. I want to hear from you on this program today, how actually you are doing that or how you want to make that happen. At this point, we welcome Pierre-Alain Paul Gota, who is a youth leader as well. He's also a political, young political leader. You're welcome to Press Hour.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks for welcoming me. I have to say I'm glad to be here. It's my first time here, and it's a deep pleasure. I'm glad meeting you. I'm glad meeting my co-panelists, and I'm glad to speak to the Cameroonian in general today and the Cameroonian youth in particular. Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming. All of you, the young people I have here, you also belong to political parties. We're going to end our program by seeing how you, as young politicians, can actually make your future be in your hands, like Robert Kedia just said. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to call on Emmanuel Avebni, who read the newspapers for Press Hour.
The press has been feeding its readers with diverse news stories the week ending, but politics flood most newspaper columns. SDF's Joshua Osei declares for president in The Sun, as SDF sets a whopping 50 million francs fee for presidential aspirants in The Voice. And as SDF braces up for primaries in The Post, the party announces that 75,000 agents will be deployed to polling stations to ensure transparent election, especially as the presidential election intrigues gaining steam in Yaoundé in the same paper. Camto then projects 6 billion CFA francs for his campaign in the Median at a time for opposition party throw weight behind Biya in the Guardian Post. What Newswatch headlines: Biya's expected run pulls more backing from religious and opposition circles. Cameroon Tribune then reports of communion around Biya. To the Median, Biya's hatchet man Atanganji warns presidential hopefuls to forget 2025. But this doesn't seem to go well with the UDP chairman El Haj Lawan Bako, who wants Minat Boss called to order for irregular acts. In The Horizon, for negotiating with political parties and traditional rulers, UDP chairman condemns Minat's boss for overstepping power. In The Voice, The Eden reports that Minat boss in hot water as UDP chieftain accused him of usurpation. Before Cabral Libi says Robert Kona's support for Biya, laughable and null in the Median. Just when Minister Sadi pleads for more responsible journalism during presidential election in Cameroon Insider, the interest of The Horizon is on Akere Muna's Now movement that engages civil society organizations in massive voter registration. Even though the turnout of the registration exercise in the country is said not to be that good. In Cameroon Tribune, the 59th Youth Day activities are then launched in The Sun. Cameroon Insider reports that the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Mununa Futu, launched the activities in Idenau. During the launch, Minister denies inaugurating worn-out multipurpose youth center in municipal updates. To the Dawn, Youth Minister adjourns multipurpose center inauguration over faded walls in Tiko. Cameroon Insider reports that the countdown to Youth Day is about march past rehearsals, workshops and sporting jamborees. The Youth Day activities are reportedly gaining steam in Cameroon Tribune, especially as the youth village is operational. Yet the Guardian Post laments that no youth has been minister in Biya's 43 years of leadership. To the paper, the regime is making nonsense of Youth Day, just when 150 new lecturers are recruited into the universities of Betua, Ebolova and Garwa. In Cameroon Tribune, identity cards production in 48 hours is said to be possible this February in Cameroon Insider. Cameroon Echoes brings to the fore the untold story of Dikome Balue and Toko subdivisions, where all government services grind to a halt as administrative offices, defense and security posts shut down since 2019. One person dies and several others are injured as Sosokam workers clash with police in Banjok in the Post newspaper. At the time, UB assures public of mentorship role with ICT University in The Voice. UB Vice-Chancellor assures ICT University graduates certification on course in The Guardian Post. UB then confirms certification of ICT University graduates in The Horizon. The same story is carried on Municipal Updates that equally reports the killing of excavator driver on duty in Bamenda by separatists, just when renewed farmer-grazier conflict threatens Muslim school children in Epalim, Bafmen, in The Voice newspaper. And those were the papers for you.
Thank you so much, Emanuela Vemnu, for reading the newspapers for Press Hour. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you once again to Press Hour and remind you of the topic that we have today is the future of Cameroonian youth in their hands. That's the question we're going to attempt to answer on Press Hour today, and I have three vibrant youth on the set with me, and a senior who is an official from the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education. Now, the question, the President of the Republic is going to speak to the youth on the 10th of February 2025. It's a traditional address that he gives to the youth. And I have three youths here who also are people who are very active in politics, in other aspects of the country, of the life of the country. Now, the first question I ask you, especially the three of you, is what do you want the President of the Republic to tell you when he comes on at 8 p.m. on the 10th of February? I'm going to start with you, Pierre-Alain.
Yeah. Okay, it's a very important question you're asking, and you have to be very practical and very clear when you answer to such a question, and that's what I would do.
Yeah.
You know, everywhere in the world and of all times, politics has been generational. Politics has been and is generational. It happens it's in cycles. So when we arrive in such a time today in Cameroon, in such a context, and that the President of the Republic is going to speak to us tomorrow, what youth can await from him is to announce or to say that he's preparing to create political space for them, because it's all about space. I can be here if you're here. I can be seated at the same place like you, or seated at a place where someone else is. But if I have to have my own place, someone has to create space somewhere, unless they add the space. But that's not the point. So the President of the Republic has been there, ruling the country for long. We have been watching at it. And I think the best news we can have from him is him seeing that he is creating political space for the youth. Youth is not 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old. from statistics, youth is 15 to 35 years old. We want to hear our president telling us that he is creating political space for us.
Okay. I don't want to ask you, you've explained political space.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe making youth ministers.
Oh, that would depend. I can ask personally. I'm a Democratic Front militant. I can ask for a minister post to him. But
Okay.
I think as politicians, you're intelligent and you understand what is political space.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask another young person, an entrepreneur. He's a very active young man, Yai, and Tam Yai is also a very active person in the society, an entrepreneur, and all of that. So, what do you expect to hear from the President of the Republic when he comes on at 8 p.m. on the 10th of February?
Thank you, Mr. Killian. I think my expectations, I would like to have a different feeling. I am 30 years today, and I've been listening to the president for the past 30 years. Today, on the 10th, I want to hear the president speak like someone who is connected to the reality of the youth. I would like the president to tell us some of the economic programs that will empower the youth. We have listened, we have seen what is happening. About 3,700 youths will be deported from the U.S. to Cameroon. These are some of the challenges that youth are facing. The president should talk to us as a father. I think he has children, and we are here to listen, to know if we should still have hope for this country, or we should find our way out of this country. So that is what I'm expecting to hear from him.
Yes, and I advise you that this country is rich. It's a good place. When you go around, you see people talk about Cameroon as an El Dorado. Well, everything is in relative terms. Now, Kedia, you've listened to them. What do you expect to hear from President Paul Biya when he comes on to speak to you?
I have a lot in which I'll be expecting from him, but permit me to thank the Cameroonian government for creating a day where the youth are being celebrated. There is no country in the world among the 190-something countries where there is a youth day that is celebrated almost the same with the national day. I thank them for giving us youth this privilege. Secondly, I thank the president that has always responded to the people's call. We call it accountability. And every 10th of February, the eve to the Youth Day, the president will come out to give an account to the youth of what he has done for them, what he is doing for them, and what he will do for them. And with the term of the National Day, which we'll be celebrating in some few hours' time, is talking about maturity, responsibility in consolidating peace, security, economic growth, and democratic process. Now, this being the theme, I know that the president, of course, will be talking about upcoming election and the place of the youth in this electoral process with regard to the theme. He talked about economic growth. Of course, with regard to economic growth, we have to do with youth participating in productivity of the nation so that we can have that economic growth. Definitely, the president will definitely talk about jobs that will be created and how youth will participate in this electoral growth process. Still based on the term of the Youth Day, which is spoke about security. I know the head of state, of course, will talk about security with some of our youths that have been lured to pick up arms, maybe, especially in the northwest and southwest, and of course with what is happening in the extreme north, where some of our youth are being misled to join certain groups that carry on arms against the state. And most importantly, it talks about the youth maturity and responsibility. Maturity here simply means that we should be responsible with our action, and responsibility here is just telling the youth to stay away from drug abuse, the way we've been seeing, or telling the youth to stay away from some malpractice, which we've seen of our young children in secondary school and what they do. So with this team, it is really a focal point on what I think the concerns of the youth practically has to do, and which I think the President of the Republic will definitely talk about.
Thank you so much. It looks like you are reading into the mind of the President of the Republic. We're going to listen to him. We're going to watch him when he speaks. And some of those points that you mentioned are actually the things that are overtaking our youth today. So he cannot fail to address them. Now we have an official from the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Professor Pascal Kum-Awa. Yes, I know. Everyone expects to have something from the President of the Republic. He's going to address the youth. You are no longer a young person, but you react to what the three young people have said, and then you also give us what you expect the President to say tomorrow to the youth.
Thank you, Mr. Kilianda. All what the three young people have said, and they fall within that age bracket of youth, is what is the expectations of young people. Throughout last year, government engaged in consulting young people to be able to tell them what they expect government to do. And all what they are saying is exactly what the young people were asking for. He started by saying he wants, Pierre Alain started by saying that he wants the president to create space. I want to say that that particular aspect of it is being taken care of, and this is what is happening. If you go now to the National Assembly, you will find 180 youth parliamentarians in session. You will find 100 youth senators in session now. And government officials are there taking questions from them. That is a way of creating space and preparing these young people to become the next political leaders. Those are future parliamentarians, future senators. There is space because it is expected that young people will equally compete for presidential elections. So that one, the Constitution and other regulations are already in place to take care of the electoral code and so on and so forth. Okay.
Yes, I expect you to address one other thing
Yes.
that one of them brought up. That is Tam Yai, who said in a very hard manner that we should create economic programs. I think the ministry...
I was coming to that. I was
Okay.
coming to that to respond to Mr. Ntamiyai's concern or his expectation. Last year, in addition to the special trainers plan, youth plan, the president talked about FEGAGEN, that is the special fund for youth entrepreneurship. This year, that is, he should expect that something else. I mean, the year before, 2023, he talked about that. 2024, he talked about import substitution. Every year, the president has something new, a new program that he comes up with to assure youths that this is what I have for you. You still have the rural urban program, which is PAJEU. It's still there.
PAJEU is the National Support Program for
Exactly.
Rural and Urban Youth.
Exactly.
Yes, and it aims at empowering them financially and technically.
Exactly. You have the returning program, because he talked about migration.
Youth
You have the
Connect.
program that takes care of youths who want to returning youths, either those returning because they find it difficult to live out, or those who are being deported. Every week, we receive young people and support them through that fund. That fund is still there. There is the Dialysis program, which is local youth, local joint venture program for young people that is connecting young entrepreneurs like Mr. Yai to young Cameroonians or investors out there in the diaspora who want to invest in the country, connecting those ones to the ones here. So the ones here will necessarily have fewer resources, and the ones in the diaspora, they have huge resources that they want to. But then the government program comes in to put at their disposal additional resources on which they can work. So there are those programs. Then you have the Pronegria Amos program, that is the National Civic Education Program, through moral, civic, and entrepreneurial rearmament. That program is there to prepare youth morally and civically. Because with all these programs being there and the funding being available, the first thing I will tell you is that many youths are not aware of it. And secondly, even if they are aware of it, and you provide them the funding, when they are not morally and civically prepared, they will not know what to do with those resources. So,
yes, talk about some of those resources, the Budget you talked about. We are told that some of the financial, especially the financial support that government has given to some of the youth, some take and then instead of investing, they get married, use the money to get married. Some of them, it's not a caricature. I'm told that that is what has happened before. And then some of them take the money and there's no accountability. You don't know what they do with it.
We have set up a system now where we track. And no youth now benefits from that program without going through the rearmament, the moral, civic, and entrepreneurial rearmament. We prepare them. And they go through incubators. And these incubators are found in our multipurpose youth empowerment centers. And we have 439 of them throughout the country, which means that all the 360 council areas have them, and they are under the local councils. They are constructed. Funding is provided to the local councils to construct them, and they are furnished.
Thank you so much.
You see, I want to move forward.
Yes.
Then you have in bigger villages these same structures where young people who have creative and innovative ideas, we get these ideas, get these young people, take them to these centers and mature these ideas. When these ideas mature, we give them the funding, knowing that they are not going to misappropriate the funds, that they are going to use them, set up enterprises, businesses, and be able to reimburse, because there is a reimbursement system. There's a percentage of that amount of money that is given to you, because in terms of millions, that you don't reimburse. But there's another part of it that you must reimburse, and there's a system set up of it, and you are followed from step to step.
Yes, let me ask you, Tammy, did you know that these programs exist? So lofty programs, when you asked about the program, now that you've heard the official from the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education enumerate them on end, and we even stopped him, he might have continued. So, are you comfortable, you as a youth?
No, one thing is that our country we have very good painted records, paperworks. Cameroonians youth do they have access to all this information? You dive into the website, you don't see all these things. I don't even know the criteria on which some of these things are given out. So these are some of the difficulties that Cameroonian youth are facing. You get to the website of the ministry, you cannot find all this. You don't even know how they apply, the criteria and all that. So these are some of the challenges that we have. Then some of these initiatives are good, laudable, and I appreciate.
Okay.
But now what we have is that we will get to understand that corruption, mismanagement, prevent access to some of these opportunities.
Yes, you will continue. I have just Googled. Youth Ministry of Youth Affairs, Youth Connect. I have it here. It says a joint government UN system project to connect youth to opportunities, empower and boost their participation in development. That's what I just, anybody who Googles will see this. And let me go, let me go to another one.
Yes.
PAJE. PAJE says it's National Support Program for Rural and Urban Youth. It is aimed at empowering them financially and technically, supporting them, than those who are aged 25 to 35 years. Now, I'm going to Google another one, but I want you to continue to say that this actually exists in
this exists,
on
but
the website.
how when you get there, you will get to the ministry website. I visit it regularly.
Okay.
I visit it regularly. But now you get to only hear that they have got granted funds here. How many business people? I'm a businessman. How many of us knows that? Young Cameroonians knows that there is fund. For example, we have the Youth Employment Fund, which is a very good initiative. Last year, the president talked of the 3-year special plan fund, something like that. Now, these are all programs every year they tell us, they announce, but when you get to see the implementation, you look at the way some of these programs are implemented, you understand that they are disconnected to the realities. For example, he's talking about councils as some of these
before you go
programs
to that one, let me just ask, have you
I
applied?
am from Boom, I don't know that.
Yes, it usually goes with,
I don't know whether it remains only around the city.
Mr. Antam.
Yes, sir.
It goes with application, I think so. They don't go looking for people. Have you applied each time you hear all of this? Have you applied?
The point is, you get to understand that you apply. But now with godfatherism in Cameroon, you need to know somebody in the ministry who knows somebody, before you get to have that. We have applied that several times. But you get to only understand that there are people that these funds.
Let me step in there to say something. Young people have to take ownership of their own development. When the president comes out and makes a statement and makes an announcement that something is available, the president will not come to your home and tell you where to go to. You have to seek for that information. And one of the problems with young people is that issue of taking ownership of their own development, going out to seek for information. In fact, almost every young man, young person in Cameroon, male, female, they have Android phones. And they spend most time on the Android phones. Ask them what they are doing there. They are WhatsApping. They are not going to the websites to look for the information. Whereas that is there. And then, as you said, Mr. Ndakilian, the councils, because he's from Boom, Mr. Yah is from Boom, the Boom mayor,
The
Fonfuka mayor, has to go seeking for this information for these young people, because he's the link to them. There you have young parliamentarians, youth parliamentarians there, and we have decided that there should be youth parliamentarians, youth senators, youth councillors, so that if the mayor does not do it, they push him to do it, because he's supposed to do it and apply. Encourage the young people to do it. The Multipurpose Youth Empowerment Center is just there waiting. It belongs to him, because it's a youth center for him to make use of it and empower the young people. And our staff of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education is standby to make sure that these youths are there and to organize activities that will galvanize the energies. Because one thing which young people fail to know is that they are an opportunity for themselves and for the country. So if they go seeking for the information, we are always there to make sure that we back them up and mold them and mentor them to having these opportunities. They are there.
Yes.
Yes.
Pierre Alain,
Yeah.
It's getting very interesting.
Yeah,
What are some other ways you as youth think you should be empowered? Because those are the ways that the government is empowering the youth that the professor has enumerated. Are there some other ways you think it could have been done better?
Okay, let me first react to what the professor just set as solutions provided by the youth of the
Minister
Ministry of Youth Affairs. I just want to had it said that we here talking about public management, and when we talk about the broad concept of management, we talk about efficiency. We are talking about programs that have been provided, but at what point are they efficient? Here we are fundamentally talking about communication, which is part of management. Therefore, what I'm wanting to say is that if I have a program that is available and that my target is not reached, my objective is not reached at all. If I'm selling this bottle of water, let's assume it's a good bottle of water, well thought and all the like, and I can't let my target know about it, I've failed. I don't want to get into details. I've heard about the means you people are using, but what is the result? What is the final result?
Exactly.
Even before getting to the result, fundamentally, if people are not aware, I've failed from the start. That's my point on it. And to talk about other measures, I'm just wanting to say that in 2018 and even after it, the presidential candidate of my party, you said it, of the Social Democratic Front at the presidential election, proposed that it's just one of the measures, just stated out before the new program is unveiled on the beginning of March, proposed that 35% of the jobs in public administrations and public firms should be dedicated to the youth. That was the program 35-35, and the number 35 was well chosen because it said 35% of the jobs available of the posts should be given to youth that are under 35. That is just one of the programs that we have in the Social Democratic Front.
Yes, okay. Thank you for that. We are going to meet Robert Kedia. You tell us, you've listened to them, they say the target is not reached. If you have a program and a good to sell or service, it doesn't meet the target, you have failed.
The issue is that I still go back to the term. The term says we are supposed to be mature and responsible. If somebody sits on this platform and says that he has not even heard about that, they don't have information about that, and after 5 seconds, the same person says that I have applied many times and I've never had that opportunity, is questionable. We all know about the triennial plan, which was budgeted very clear, 102 billion. It was in billion, not in million. The issue is that we are privileged to have a ministry that belongs to the youth, Ministry of Youth. How many of us move to the Ministry of Youth to have information? I cannot be a youth and I'm in a town. I don't know where the divisional delegation is to go and ask more information. This project, even, they are not only limited at the level of the Ministry of Youth, even at the Ministry of Agriculture, they still give assistance. Even at the Ministry of Culture, those that want to sing, they still give assistance. We should approach, it's our right as youth. It is our fundamental right to approach, have more information. We should not go into that negative mindset of which we instead, when we are privileged to talk, we instead discourage other youths by saying that there is corruption. Before you go there, you need to know somebody that will know somebody. Is it reality? The ministry is supposed to come and meet us in our home and give us information. We are supposed to be active and approach to have more information. I am not saying that the process is perfect, the way some of my co-panelists, they are agitating, but I believe that this opportunity, I'm supposed to be an educationalist where I'll tell the youths to approach rather than giving points that would discourage them. I rather give them points in which you have a positive impact on them.
Thank you.
Talking about that, permit me to give a tiny view about our educational system as a youth. I think that I know those that are maybe professors, doctors in literature, history may get a different perspective about what I will say, but I think that we are supposed to move our educational system a little bit and focus on the technical education, because when you see a child leaving from a technical school with advanced level in electricity or in building, you realize that they start to work immediately. Why people that have history, literature, most of the job they get is teaching. So I think that if there is a little bit of focus to gear towards that system of education, that create immediately employment when people leave, it will be good. And it will permit me to talk about the Ministry of Vocational Training, where, you know, when you go through there, and many youths don't also know that the Ministry of Vocational Training, they do give scholarship. Many don't know.
Employment and
Employment, they don't know. Just from the name, you should know. Just from the name, you should approach these institutions. They are being paid by taxpayers' money, our money. They are there to serve us. We should approach them to have information. We are in a digitalized world now today that will not sit for people to come and beg us. We are to move. We are supposed to be aggressive positively to have information and have jobs.
okay.
That's my perspective.
Now,
Just allow me, please.
Yes.
Just allow me
Go
to
ahead
answer
before I ask this
to
question.
my co-panelist.
Yeah.
I want to be really sad when I'll be saying what I'm saying, because it's not a joyful state of things. What I'm just going to say right now, as things are in the present context, the ministries, the different organizations, as you have stated them, may have very good programs. Let me just dash that one to you. They may have very good programs. But one of the broad view political problems in Cameroon today is branding. I'm sorry, sir. When you have the same people that have been serving the country, no, don't do that. When you have the same people that have been serving the country for so long, the branding is not more good. People are not more interested in that. I said in the beginning that I'm sorry. I can be okay with all of your programs, but they are not interested if they are not well branded.
well,
Cameroonians want to see
my point is,
new people.
We are talking about administration. We are not talking about their face. What I do will look in their face for long.
I'm sorry.
Their face
I'm
has
sorry.
nothing
It's
to
a
do.
reality.
Go to the administration and see the policies that have been put in place.
I told you, I'm sorry. It's a reality.
Now-
You can have good words. You can have good ideas, but if they're not well presented, they'll not pass. And the presentation, the people is part
Where
of
you
the
come
presentation.
from, who is the delegation of youth?
It's not interesting.
That's the problem.
It's not
That's who you are
interesting.
supposed to know. That's who you are supposed to meet in your delegation, in your division, to get more information. You don't even know. You are not even interested to know.
Even if you have the best ideas, the best programs today presented by the same people, I'm sorry, and I told you.
Okay, your problem is
Yeah,
very simple.
I told you
now,
at the
now
beginning.
you've
I'm
said
not
that
happy
you have
of
said that
thing.
1, 2, 3.
Delegates are being
Yeah,
changed
see,
every
I
time.
told you at the
Regional
beginning.
delegates are being
Pierre
changed.
Alain,
It's a global
Pierre Alain,
branding.
Pierre
And
Alain,
you understand what
Pierre
I mean?
Alain, Pierre
You
Alain.
clearly understand what I mean. It's a global branding. Global.
I understand what you are saying, but I don't agree with you.
Robert,
But
Robert,
it's a reality.
Robert,
And we will
Pierre
not,
Alain,
I'm sorry we will not get into a better state until those things are not
you
changed.
have
I'm sorry because we
look to
have
your
to
right.
get into a better
Look to
state.
your right. Look to your right. You see an elderly, respectable person there.
Yeah.
He is not only an official from the Ministry of Youth, he is an anthropologist. Yeah. Listen to what he's going to say concerning.
Do you know what
he
he was going to say?
No,
Before
because
he said it?
we expect people like him, well learned,
Yeah.
yes, to say things. Especially an anthropologist, he understands society.
You mean we are not?
Yes. Prof. The microphone is.
Yes, thank you very much. I am really very happy with the emotions that are here on this platform. It shows the interest that young people have to develop themselves. And I want to tell Pierre Alain and others that there is one thing with young people or youths. There are places where you have to meet them. If you need to communicate with the young people, go on social media. And you have found that if you go, immediately Kilian Google
Yes, I
the
Googled.
ministry, yes.
I
He was giving us information. That is where most of the information, some of the information on youth, let me say everything that concerns youth is lodged. And there's what you call National Youth Observatory. You enter there, you see everything that concerns youth, the partners that are there in the civil society, in the UN system, in the administration, and so on. You have all the opportunities. You log in there, you have everything. And the reason is that young people spend most of their time on their phones. If you want to give them the information,
Go to the.
and you go, say, you publish in books, you publish in magazines, they will not read. You put them on TV, very few will follow. But put it on the social media, they'll pick it up from there. So that is the first thing. The second thing is that youths should remain, I did say here, that they should be able to take ownership of their own development, decide for themselves. If they do, then they'll have a way forward.
That's the next question I was going to ask.
Yes.
It's good you've touched that question. How should they take ownership of their own destiny? That is the question you will start answering, and I will take it round.
Anyways, before I think...
I think Prof should start, because he's the one who raised it.
But I just wanted to respond to some of the stuff he said before we get there. I'm just trying to say that first, let us leave propaganda aside and get back if we really want to redress this nation. If we want youths to find themselves as patriots. Because even this youth day we are talking about, how many people feel the impact? We can brand, Cameroon is good in branding, window dressing, programs, and you get a young man sit here, he talks so exorbitantly, and you ask yourself what is exciting him to talk about. To dash into those things, is it how effective they are? We are not refusing, Prof, that some of these things are done. They are good initiatives. Cameroon has the best laws. If you want to go to as compared to other countries, it has best laws. But how practical? The implementation has always been the case.
Okay.
That's where we have failed.
Since you are already speaking, I'm going to start with you. This is the question. How should Cameroonian youth take ownership of their future? What should you do? What will you do to take ownership? Actually have your future in your hands and manage it well.
The first thing that we should take ownership is to get into the political space. Because if we sit and wait that they should give us, this 2025, we are not waiting for Caesar to give us, we'll take what belongs to Caesar. Because we have waited for long. We are getting to the political space so that we become part of the policy making, which is very important. That is where the solution lies. Because one of the situations we have that is killing this country is the leadership recycling.
Yeah, that's what I call branding. Sorry.
Because you don't have a space.
What I call branding.
You keep, the point is, look at the employment rate. Unemployment rate is 6.1. You get to understand that from the World Bank, 6.1. Okay. Yes.
Unemployment 6.1.
Yes. Oh, yes. You get to realize that government can do better. But since there are people who sit tight on positions, they don't want to give space, how do you expect? You get to see the Minister of Higher Education.
You're not answering my question.
Yes, I'm getting back. I'm getting back to you, Mr. Kilian.
Yes.
I just want to say we have 50,000 young persons that graduate every year. 50,000. Then you get to realize that how many persons are employed. Then you get to the private sector.
Employed by who?
The government has a role to play, while the young people, just like Prof said, have their own role to play. But now we have to play this mutually.
Now,
If we must have a thriving economy.
you're very right, but I'm telling you that in countries that develop, the public service takes less people. Private sector, that is self-employment, takes more.
When there are good policies.
They create measures.
When there are good policies and measures.
They create policies.
For example, I open a business at 3 months, the tax people are chasing me out of my business. What are you talking about?
Actually, does it.
How do you encourage me? When I get back to crimes, they say young people are irresponsible. That has been what this regime has used as a propaganda to relegate youth behind. We cannot accept that anymore.
Maybe, are you saying relegate you or youth because they are youth that are succeeded?
That is the case. When they talk that youth are irresponsible, are there not also youth that are responsible?
I'm asking you the question.
The youth are responsible. Some are responsible. What have they done with the ones that are responsible?
You have not answered my question. What are you doing? That is the situation. It's as bad as you are painting.
What are you
doing to manage your own future well and not complaining about it?
The first thing is taking action. We have decided to take actions because we can no longer complain. Complaining, and you have a father who doesn't listen, who gives every defensive measure on why things are the way it is. We are deciding. Technology has come. The economic market is open.
Okay.
That's why most youth are diverting to technology. Maybe
thank you.
Like that we're on social media.
I think you should just wait. Let Pierre Alain
yes.
also tell me, tell us what he is doing as a youth and what other youth should do to actually take ownership of their future, which, as he said, you are leaders of today. You want to be, not leaders of tomorrow. What are you doing, and what should you, generally as youth, do to have your future and manage it well?
Okay. Personally, it's been long. I've been thinking about what comes out as part of the theme of today. That is, what is the future of Cameroon? What's the future of Cameroonians? And the part I decided to play in it is politics. I've always felt that's for long now. That's from high school and from university. I've always felt that if you don't have impact, if you don't play a role in that central part of everyone's life, things will not change. Even the future of the youth will not change. So my part, what I play as a role, I've decided it for long, is politics. I'm a member of a political party, and I indeed have an administrative job.
You are in charge of coordinating the youth.
I'm part of the coordination
of the youth in
the
your
Social
party.
Democratic Front, and I also have an administrative job at the National Assembly. So that is somehow politics, administration. So that's my own part.
That's good.
I think that it's clear today, and we are in a good context to talk about it, because we're in 2025. You have been waiting 2025 for long. 2025 is here. And from my observation, the youths have started to understand what are the stakes of politics, and they know that October is coming. They have been getting registered in the electoral lists, and they are getting actually very attentive about what is happening. So I think that actually at the time we're speaking, the Cameroonian youths are actually getting to do what they have to do. Now, you just excuse me a second, I want to encourage them to have a very keen attention on what really politics is all about, and get away from tribalism and other hate speech, but to actually concentrate on the different messages that will be coming from the political parties and the political candidates, because it's very important.
That is very wise and very instructive. Thank you for, as a youth, being responsible to that level to give that counsel to your fellow youth. Yes, Robert,
Yes, I would like to take this.
You have 2
opportunity-
minutes. and
Yes, I
then,
would like to take this
Prof will have the rest
opportunity
of the time.
to tell all youths that there are many opportunity for youth in the various ministries. They should always have their good project and present it in the ministry. They should not have negative energy to influence them to think that it's not possible, you need to have connection or not. That's negative energy. Our youth, please don't have such energy. For those traveling to the diaspora, spending over 5 million, 4 million, 6 million to go to Canada and the rest, I believe that if you take that money, you open a good poetry. I believe that you take that money, you engage into many agricultural activity or even businesses, then you will not have a reason to go out. Some of us, we had such money as civil servants, we borrowed it from the bank and we invest on businesses. And today we are benefiting more than those that took the money, went to the diaspora, and today they are coming back into the country to start from zero. So I will plead on all those going out that they should stay in. And also to the young,
the last point. I know you are an educationist. You are actually educating the youth now. Yes, 30 seconds, please.
and lastly, please, us youth, we should cut down our expenditure and invest it. My problem is when I see a youth of 20 years, 24 years with an iPhone of 200,000, or with Brazilian hair of 200,000, I ask myself a question. That is money that could be invested rather than using those money to drink beer, buy expensive phone, to do nothing with it. I think that all the youth, we should put our investment in the right perspective. Why asking the government to do more? Because I accept with the order that it is the responsibility of the government to do more. And us, we should put this effort.
Thank you. No, it's time for Prof to also tell us.
Thank you very much. I want to say that employment is a private. I know one of the main issues with young people or with youths is to get employed. Employment is a public-private issue. And we cannot only rely on the public service. And the public service does what? They don't employ old people. They employ youths.
Only.
They employ youths only. So entrance into the public...
2 years.
Yes. So entrance into the public sector is... by being, one of the conditions of being young. And the age limit is there.
18 to 32.
Yes, 18 to 32. So you see that even some of the youths are left out in that process. Okay. Then secondly, a young person who is in the university has an opportunity to develop a skill. You are educating yourself, but develop a skill that can give you an employment, that can enable you to create and invent. You see, young people are very, very smart at creating. They are good inventors. So what I'm saying, for example, the multipurpose youth empowerment centers that we have is a skill-based development unit, which is there for young people in secondary schools, for those in the university, so that when they are free, they can go there and develop a skill and help themselves. But rather, what happens is many of them don't want to engage in anything, but they expect that they should be called by the public sector to take up jobs.
Yes, Professor, thank you so much. The program director, producer is just reminding us that we have used our time. I want to thank you so much for coming, Professor Pascal Koum Awa. You are an anthropologist. You are Inspector General of Programs in the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education. Thank you so much for coming. Robert Kedia is an educationist. We followed him. He was doing so much education here. Pierre-Alain Paul Guater, you are a youth leader, also in a political party. You are welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Tam Yai is an entrepreneur, political leader. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we had for you on Press R today. If you missed out on anything, then you can get a full scale of it on Monday when we rebroadcast this program at 2:30 p.m. or on Wednesday on CRTV News after the news in the French language at 9 p.m. Thank you so much for watching.